Cooking by the Books. I'm Jill Allen. Today we're going to cook with rice. Now, rice is a staple that most people have in their pantries, and if you've gone down the rice aisle in the supermarket, I'm sure you've been astonished by the variety of rice that is available out there. Rice typically comes into three categories. There is short grain, medium grain, and long grain. Most rices can be found at the store are usually short grain or long grain. Your short grain rices would be sushi rice or arborio rice, which you use to make risotto. Long grain rices tend to be basmati or jasmine rice, or your typical just plain bagged rice that you find. So there's brown rice, there's white rice. What's the difference? They're both the same product, except they're processed differently. Brown rice is less processed than white rice. It still retains the germ and the bran. So it has more fiber and a little more nutrition than white rice. It tends to make a chewier product that has a slightly nutty taste. It takes a little longer to cook as well. Whichever rice you use is a personal preference. Recipes may call for basmati rice or jasmine rice, brown rice or white rice, but I say use what you like and what you have, and you can adapt the recipe. So let's get started cooking. The first recipe we're gonna make today comes from a favorite cookbook of mine called Forks Over Knives, and we are going to make the curried rice salad. Now, a rice salad is perfect for this time of year. You can cook it in the morning, put it in the fridge. As the day gets hotter, pull it out and enjoy it nice and cold. So let's take a look at the ingredients we have for this. The recipe actually called for brown basmati rice. I don't have brown basmati rice, but I am going to use a brown rice that I have, and it'll be fine. So we've got 2 cups of rice, the zest and juice of 2 limes, about 6 green onions chopped, half a small red onion minced, half a cup of currants, a jalapeno pepper, a tablespoon of curry powder, and some chopped cilantro. It also uses a little bit of vinegar, and the recipe called for brown rice syrup, which is not something I have in my pantry, nor could I find at my local store. So I'm going to use some honey that I had. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do when we cook any rice is we're going to rinse it. Rice is an agricultural product. You just want to rinse off anything that might have touched it while being processed. So we'll just give it a nice little run through, and then we will put it in a pot, 2 cups of rice, twice that amount in water. So here comes our 4 cups of water. And we're going to just turn this on and let it cook. Brown rice will take about 45-50 minutes to cook. So it takes a little while. While that cooks, we're going to mix all the other ingredients together in our bowl. So let's take the lime juice, the vinegar, the honey, which my honey is getting a little granular. We're gonna do our best with it. I'm going to add the zest, the curry powder. Get this all mixed really well. I want to make sure that my honey dissolves. Oh yeah, it's getting there, it's nice. And then we will add all the other ingredients. Come on, let's get out of there. These are currants. Now, currants are like teeny tiny little raisins. Sometimes they're hard to find. If you can't find them, you could also just chop up raisins or use another dried fruit if there's something you prefer better, or leave it out if you don't like dried fruit. It's your recipe. cook to your taste. All right, and then let's add the cilantro. Awesome. You can see what this looks like. It's gonna have lots of yummy stuff in there. And now we'll just wait until the rice is done and we'll be right back at it. So the brown rice is finally done cooking. Brown rice takes a while. I cooked it for about 45 minutes and then let it sit for about 10 minutes. I mean, it takes so long that it kind of makes sense that you might want to double the amount of brown rice you're cooking, because you can always freeze an extra portion so that you can defrost it and have it ready, especially if you're going to be making a rice salad. Then it would be cold too. So we are going to add it to the other stuff in here. Get it all in there. This makes a lot. Let me get this out of the way. Make this easier. All right. I'm just gonna get it all mixed together. I mean, we will sample this warm. I mean, it can even be served warm, but my ultimate goal is to have this as a cold summer salad ready for quick and easy lunches. All right, let's see. It smells really good. I love curry. All right, you can see how that looks. All right, we're ready to taste this. Oh, I can't wait. Oh, yummy. I love curry. So the next recipe we're going to make is a golden pilaf with sweet onions. This recipe hails from the book called The Side Dish Handbook. So the recipe calls for these ingredients. We need 1.5 cups of broth, a cup of basmati rice. Now basmati is a fragrant long grain rice. It is native to India and it cooks up fluffy and delicious and is a great side for stews and curries. The recipe also calls for 2 large sweet onions, one of them chopped, one of them sliced, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 3 tablespoons of butter, and 1/4 teaspoon of saffron. Now saffron's a kind of precious spice. I found this at Trader Joe's. You can sometimes find it at your local supermarket as well. It gives the rice a very unique flavor and a bright yellowy orange color. If you can't find it, you can leave it out. You'll be missing that subtle taste and the pop of color. Sometimes people will substitute turmeric for saffron to get the color, but it does have a different flavor. Whatever, work with what you have. So let's start. We are going to put 1 tablespoon of the butter in the pot and about 1 tablespoon of the olive oil. And we're gonna start sauteing the chopped onions. Let's get this going. And we wanna get them a little soft and cooked. All right. That'll just take a minute. It smells really good. My eyes are getting a little red from having all this onion over here. While that gets going, we're gonna also rinse our rice. Get it ready. Put it over here and have it ready. All right, you can hear it sizzling now. All right, the onions are nice and soft and they smell really good. At this point, we're going to add the rice, which is drained a bit. And we'll just stir it around in there. And then we add the saffron. You'll see saffron comes in threads. We're gonna try to crumble it up as much as we can as we put it in here. There we go. We'll stir that in. And you can see it changes the color of the rice from white to slightly yellowish, orangey. Let's add a little salt as well. I don't usually measure salt. I just toss it in there. And then we'll add the 1.5 cups of broth that we have. We're gonna bring this to a boil now. It'll take just a couple minutes to get up there. Once rice comes to a boil, you turn the heat down to a simmer, and then we'll cover this and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. And then while this simmers, we're gonna deal with those sliced onions next. So I've added the remaining olive oil and butter to the pan, and we're gonna deal with the sliced onions. So we're gonna put them in here. Let's get this turned on. We're gonna saute them till they're soft, and then we're gonna turn them on low and let them sweat a bit until they're good and golden. It'll just take a few minutes. All right, my sliced onions are looking sort of golden and getting a little brown around the edges. My rice cooked at a low simmer for 15 minutes, and then I took it off the heat and let it sit for 10 minutes, and it is perfectly done. You can see the lovely color of it. And now we get to add the roasted onions. Let's get them all in there. This is a really onion heavy dish, as you can tell. It's going to be really popular in this house. Stirred in. See how that's looking. All right. All right, let's try it and see how it turned out. I love the way this looks. I also really like onions. That's really good. The onions are really sweet. The saffron flavor is there, and I love it. It's a winner for sure. Our next recipe is from one of my favorite cookbooks. The book is Around My French Table by Dory Greenspan. We are going to make the creamy, cheesy, garlicky rice with spinach. This rice is really good. It could serve as a main course or a side, or you could use it as a filling for stuffed peppers or other vegetables. Now at this time of year, my garden is a zucchini producing machine. You can see I've got a couple back there. I'm planning to use this rice to stuff some zucchini and bake it. So the ingredients for this, we have got a cup of risotto rice, which is arborio rice. It's a short grain rice. Short grain rice tends to be a little starchy and have a little bite to it, meaning a little bit of chewiness to it. We've got about 3 1/4 to 3 1/2 cups of broth. This is chicken broth. You can use veggie broth, whatever kind of broth you have, or water if you don't have any. We've got a diced onion, a tablespoon of butter, 2 cloves of garlic, a cup of cheese. I'm using a blend of cheddars because that's what my family likes. You can use whatever kind you like. It also calls for 10 ounces of spinach that you cook. I cooked it ahead of time to make things go a little faster today, and about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream and salt and pepper. So the first thing we're gonna do is bring the broth to a boil. So let's add it all here and turn it on, and we will rinse the rice while that comes up to heat. comes to a boil, we'll add the rice, cover it, bring it back up to a boil, and then turn it down to a simmer. And we'll let it cook for about 20 minutes and then we'll check on it. While the rice is cooking, let's saute the onions and garlic and get them ready. So, there's a lot of onion chopping today. All right, let's get that going. I like to get the onion going for a bit and then add the garlic because you don't want to burn your garlic. It gives it a bitter taste. And then we can add the spinach and we will save the cheese and the cream for finishing at the end. So I sauteed the onions, added the garlic, and then added the spinach in. And the rice cooked for 20 minutes. And then I let it sit for 10 minutes at the end to absorb the remaining liquid in there. You can see it is very creamy looking and thick and very, very done. So we are going to add the vegetables and then mix in the cheese and a little bit of the heavy cream. Let's see how this turns out. I'm so excited about this recipe. I feel like this is going to be a great way for me to serve zucchini yet again to my family. It's not going to hide the zucchini, but well, we're doing our best. All right, so we've got the spinach and onions in here. Let's add the cheese. That in. It's getting creamy and melting, and then a little bit of cream. And make it very rich. It's almost like risotto, but a French risotto. Look at that. All right, it's looking pretty good. It's delicious. It's really creamy, really rich. It's gonna be wonderful stuffed in zucchini. Although honestly, it could be a main course all by itself. So today we did 3 dishes that all had rice in them. One had brown rice, one had a short grain rice, and the other had a long grain rice. Brown rice can take a while to cook, as you saw with our first recipe. I wanted to mention other ways you can cook rice. You saw me cook them in a pot, but I also often use a rice cooker at home. You can see I've got one back here on the counter. I like using a rice cooker because you put the rice in there, you put the ingredients in, and you walk away. You don't have to tend the pot. It will never scorch. It's not necessary, but if you find that you fall in love with some of these recipes and make them often, it's always a good thing to have on hand. I hope you guys had fun today, and we will see you soon. Bye.